If you're catching the replay, welcome. I'm Steve. Mark's around. Say hi, Mark.
Hey, everybody.
And this is Smokey, Steve, and Mark. Welcome or welcome back. Happy Sunday. We're having another live coffee talk. Mukbangs or bust. That would have made a great thing to put on the bumper sticker. So I hope everyone's doing good. Hope everyone's safe. I see some folks are coming in as of now. I got this a little bit easier together for myself than other weeks. I didn't need Mark's help to get that to get it vertical to horizontal. Just couldn't do it. And that's about it. Enjoying a lazy day. We stayed home today. Not too much going. We did call my parents. They usually come down, but did wish my father happy Father's Day from his son and his son-in-law. And we're going to make plans to get together at some point because we have some gifts from the Father's Day video that we did earlier this week. I think it was on Monday. So feel free to check that out. Also, got a card for myself from the cats. They do this every year. From the cats. Every time you leave this house, you take a little bit of us with you. So this was from the cats, from my mom, but she signed the cat signatures and sent it to us. So this was the card we had going up. So, hey Annie, Moya, follow in. I was catching up on my homework right up until the last minute. Started it, and then there was a big lull, and something happened after that. So, Roxy, Jamie, Bonnie, come on in, grab a seat. If you're a lurker, sit in the back. You're still welcome. So, we're going to catch up today with our fair lady, Chantal Marie, Foodie Beauty, Big Beautiful Me, Everyday Miriam, when she's in the right time zone, and Foodie Beauty ever. So we're going to catch up a little. We didn't catch up last weekend. We had a larger space between time that I thought we were going to be able to meet together. So I'm not going to, like I said, go back like 2 weeks going. So Jerry, Connie, Beth, hello. And we'll see. We'll see. So last week we checked in. The cycle had continued, even though she had enough pity to probably tide her over. The well seems to have run dry. So first thing that jumped out to me in the last few 5-7 days is the mukbangs. The mukbangs are back and back heavy. And why? Why is she doing it? Who's paying for it? Is it worth it for her to do? Blah, blah, blah. She's turned her whole channel around to, I think in her head, I need X number of views a day to make my money. If one video doesn't do it, I have to make 2. That's why in one of those, she always looks so pissed. Like, so mad. So, feed her money to tide her over. So if their money is running low, and Sala's business maybe isn't doing so great, or they're a single income family for the time being, what kind of things would Chantal maybe do that are in her wheelhouse? Well, she likes attention, graphic nudity, and food. It sells. So, we'll see about that. I'm not going to say right, wrong, moral judgment. It's just, is she doing it or not? And if she was doing it, does it even mean anything? So, next point, keeping all things private except food. So we got a community post that told us we wouldn't be discussing health, marriage, plans, just eating. Just sloppy eating sometimes too. I started to make a note about how I thought both of them could do better, both Sala and Chantal, but it saves the rest of us to have 2 scammers scamming each other and leaving the rest of us alone. I think each one thinks they have some leverage in this relationship that they probably don't. Chantal plays it very close to the vest. I mean, when it comes down to it, she's priority 1, not her husband. And it would be in any relationship for her. I think that's just how she is. She's self-centered. She's self-centered. Her needs come first. She doesn't see anybody else's until she sees that all of hers are met. And she's okay being really vocal about the fact that she thinks she deserves things that other people get, even if it's going on, even if it's in a different way. I don't know. She made speaking about women who are reactors. Some of the other ones that come out of her mouth, you know, Kay Bella, Kalari, Charlie Gold, who still looks good to me. And going there from that, maybe they could do better. I don't know. Like I said, they keep us out of the thing. Revenge porn. Chantal suggested, like a moron, that they would have a case for revenge porn against the woman who Sala disclosed that he wanted to do sexual things with a bit of a religious twist. And people have feelings about that. Now, Chantal's forgiven him because what's she going to do? Not? for all this investment for the years living there, that's going to be a car rage back from the airport to wherever her mom's going to stay in the basement. I don't know. Every time she's certain she's going to stay one place, she goes another. So it's really not worth committing too much of it to memory. So let's see. They go through dinner, revenge porn. It goes along with the other things that she's going to do. She's going to sue FFG. She's going to climb Mount Everest. Yeah, sure, honey. Do you want supersize or regular? And you see her eyes light up like a puppy. So they're the same level of degeneracy, and I hope they're suffering equally. I think so too. I think so too. I think she thought she was going to be happy. Like I said with Natter, I think she thought, you know, all you had to do was fake love me. That she would find herself in a situation soliciting a guy for a companion, for papers to the Western world, whatever it was. And she seems like meager and this and that, but you know when the camera's off, she's a monster. And I suspect he's not there, because if he spent more time there, it would probably want him to spend even less time there. But this week with the mukbangs and stuff, I'm getting the feeling he's not always around for that. He has opinions about mukbangs and sweets and other stuff, and he's a little pickier with his food than she is, obviously. It's not that she'll eat anything. It's just she'll eat an endless amount of anything. You know, she could go, you know, elbow deep in a giant jar of olives and eat them all. It's not even what the food is. It's the volume she eats it. It's all in one sitting. We know Chantal has her own definition of binging. Okay. Little Caesar's pizza, 6 slices, dinner for 6 in one sitting is not a binge? What is? What is? So, anyway, and Little Caesar sounded good, actually, at the fact. Mr. Snowflake's episode 4 of the series involving Chantal digging back has been a good way, I think, to educate newer folks, not to trash her name, but this is her journey. She says she's proud of it and blah, 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 so she deletes it and says it didn't happen, but she's saying, you know, this is part of her, or what she's doing. Now, the clip, the thumbnail that was leading into the Snowflake thing, it was her in the Dee Dee wig, which actually inspired our very, very first long intro to Steve Will Try It. I was shaving my head during the intro. You like short hair? She bought the Dee Dee wig because he liked Dee Dee better. That is so sad. That is so sad. And to think, better looking than 90% of the rest of us. And if we don't show up on camera, we must be bedbound. I can tell you I'm not bedbound. Little chunky, but Snowflake. I like that. Now, people have suggested if she is doing eating for money, how is she doing that? Is really replacing any of her income? And you know, I only had like 1 or 2 examples of other situations where people were offered money. There was a professional wrestler that I loved. I still do, but I think she's probably older now. And she shared some stories in an interview about the kind of weird things men ask for big women to do to them. So, share on that. And every health problem she has is her fault, and it's not because she's big, it's because she's arrogant that no one likes her. So to the beginning, mukbangs are bust. We've been looking at up to 2 mukbangs a day for a period of like, we'll say, I don't know, 7 days, maybe 10 days. She's been banging them out a lot. 2 a day. If the views are smaller, she probably doesn't even have to do 2 a day if she would just let it sit long enough to grow. But I think she gets panicked and whatever. So she was doing those for the last week or so. Now, she's coming up on a couple things. Payday comes up in about 5 days or so. That tends to coincide in a traveling month where she's going to be leaving, probably not filming, or right now we're watching filler and she's already on the plane. I don't know. She also had a week off, and she didn't do anything with it. If we had a week off blackout, God forbid, like if I said the wrong thing about something or anything and we had to get blacked out for a bit, I'd like to think I would do something more in the 7 days than just fuck around and not really do anything. Like, maybe think about why the channel was taken down. Now, there's no problem with Chantal not doing that. Everything is clearly not her fault ever. So even suspecting that she's going to take accountability for something is ridiculous. The coming up on the videos that are old. Barbara, I just wanted to say hello. Thank you, Barbara. Thank you for the super chat. Thank you. Welcome, welcome. We're still early in the chat. If you don't like, and this will be under a few of the videos, if you don't like sloppy eating noises, chewing, spitting, farting, all that stuff, then don't watch. As though you're being elitist by not expecting those things in a video, because it's a little more cozy. No, it's for people who like that shit. If you take the flip of everything she said in the disclaimer, it's basically, if you like sloppy eating, if you like chewing and spitting, I'm your girl. It sounds like a little bit nicer when she says, it's not this, not that. Just talk food anymore. Yeah. Oh my God. I couldn't have thought that food played a big role in your life. Oh my God. So, um, discussion of the new plan the next week. So there's always, this is what we're doing this week. This is my plan for now. And then nothing. So we've gone through a couple cycles recently where she's gone from eating all the time to no mukbangs to then she had to make a decision that, damn it, I'm going to live my life because too many people on the internet were giving her advice about what to eat. So she's going to find herself. You know, there's a whole world of people outside the door too. I mean, let's pull things back. She basically sits around and stares in her hand all day. Sure, there's entertainment there, but looking from the outside in, it would be like, wow, what a boring life. I mean, TikTok's entertaining. I'll give it that. And you don't need a long memory span to do it, and that's okay too, I guess. I wonder if it makes a lot of us short on patience. You know, I remember using dial-up internet back when I was in high school, and that was as fast as we could get. And then T1 and cable and all that stuff came out, and it's like, oh, God. And then wireless? It wasn't, only the rich kids had all the techie stuff. They had pay-per-view for wrestling shows and stuff like that. That wasn't my house. That wasn't where I grew up. So, feeders, money to tide her over. Now, Lisa Luhu, hello. Filling in her content. Now, there's been discussion, I think, for a long time. Hello, UK. That she would accept money. Well, that the whole point of her channel is taking in money for the performance of eating a lot of food. And I guess she tailors that to whatever perv is tipping that night. It's not unheard of for a guy who likes you to call Uber Eats, use your address, buy the food, send it to you, and pay you on film for eating it. Is Chantal doing that? That's with Qatar. That doesn't get spoken about because that's too close to home. So I don't think so. And when you're deliberately turning up the slop volume for certain viewers, you acknowledge them. You know they exist. They pay part of my money. And so then she eats for money. Isn't that the turnaround? Which she's tried to say, oh no mukbangs. And we did, this is not predictable by Steve, it's anyone. We went from no mukbangs to sandwiches. It always goes to Subway or something, and she doesn't think that's fast food because it's fresh and all that other shit. You could eat whatever the frig you want. Any of it. Just don't eat 9 of them. You know, a slice of Little Caesar's pizza is not the reason she's big. It's the whole pizza. If she's not in a position to maintain self-control over that, I kind of think of that with my drinking. Like, I used to like drinking, but the longer it got, it became more and more, like, unpredictable. You know, what was going to happen? Would it be a good outcome? Bad outcome? Would we have a great night, or would I end up in handcuffs? And there was no knowing prior to doing that. So, her accepting and then, you know, going down yes, I saw the dessert, that diabetic explosion, renal fantasia. I don't know what to call it, but who the hell's gonna feel sad? I mean, she functions on pity, and she wants the new people to do it and act like all these old meanies don't want to let her live her life, which is when you have something like Mr. Snowflake that comes out, it can inform the viewer. She thinks she's changed. That's the funny part. She put on a baya. That's all it is. She's the same person under there. She's just in a different outfit. Probably a little sweatier, maybe a little bigger, but people who are really proud of themselves and of their looks always use filters to the nth degree. Chantal, you're almost my age. You know, we wrinkle. Shit goes gray, you know, so you take it down a little bit, but it doesn't mean you have to cover yourself up to your nose and then digitally alter the only part of your body that is showing. That doesn't tell me someone's happy about the way they look. Do you think if it was a little bit more grainy that these guys are not going to watch? Send a super chat, send this, send that. Have a feeder mukbang super chat and see who shows up. You know, then you get some more feedback. So no marshmallow skin anymore. Sis. Death on a platter. It's her fault. You know, just because she's not upset that she's killing herself, it doesn't mean she isn't doing it. It just means she doesn't care. She's got the efforts. Oh, that'll be tomorrow's problem. I'll get the coffins later. Nothing to her is urgent. Nothing. Now, on the opposite side of not taking things in a pattern, I don't believe in having a false sense of urgency for big grandiose things that they really don't need to be freaked out about. If you had a job, a family, a dramatic relative, and you get a text that says, "Oh my God, call me right away," anything could be going through my head. Anything. And then I call and it's like, "Did you want chocolate or vanilla icing?" So, so is she accepting money for other food related stuff? Now, if you've ever watched WWF or AEW or any of the other, it used WWE now. I never really liked female wrestling, but I liked plus size and big wrestlers. Like back in the day, Andre the Giant, they were the big men. Well, this woman, her name's Kia. Her most noticeable name is Awesome Kong. She went by Karma as a stage name in wrestling around 2012 or so. Then she had a baby, left the WWF, never came back. She did an interview, and in the interview, she said when she was living in Japan, because New Japan Wrestling is a big deal, she was working there for about 6 years, and she said, "I had a guy wanted me to sit on him for $10,000. I mean, that's a couple months for her. All you need is one freak with a wallet, and I think that's the kind of thing that she would even do without telling Sala, if she was. Because I don't even think she wants to feel comfortable drawing that straight of a line from her plate to her purse. But, I don't know. Yeah, I always liked wrestling. The new women's wrestling was odd for a while. It was all like bikini car wash looking girls. And then now women's wrestling, at least in the WWE and the other ones, it's gone more towards talent than looks. So they're not all these pussycat looking girls, fighting, slap fighting. They're actually trained athletes doing sports entertainment. It's scripted, but it's not exactly fake. I think they all break bones every so often. So yeah. Keeping all things private except for food. No religion. She's already got the abaya on, so it's covering that. No health talk, which means the health isn't good. No marriage questions. It's not a full rights and privileges marriage. There's some caveat that makes it not super-duper authentic. And she doesn't want to have any of that on her channel. She's just going to eat. And if you don't like it, okay, just do that. She doesn't understand. She's such a control freak. And a lot of the times she doesn't have control, but she thinks she does, which is the most disgusting kind of arrogance that I can think of. "Oh, you think you're running shit? Okay, have it your way. You want a napkin?" I don't know what the end game is exactly with this. If she can get as rich as she wants before she dies, maybe she'll have a couple good years. I don't know. So just eat, just mukbang, nothing else. So she doesn't want to bring up her health because there's conflicting information, and she doesn't want to bring up her religion because she doesn't practice much of it outside of the cheapest, easiest thing to do, which is wear the outfit. And I'd heard another reactor say it, and I've heard other reactors say it. As far as being discriminated against, she can go to the bathroom, take all the clothing off, and she's another white Western woman who I love and who make up our audience. But she's not the same person she's pretending to be. She has this idea that you can't question her motives. Even if she is obviously lying, you have no way to prove it, and so you must accept her version of the truth as the truth. Who the fuck do you think you are? Call a friend if you can find one. Keeping all your stuff private online is a good thing, unless you've made your channel about, like, I talk about my mental health a lot. Okay, Mark talks about his sometimes. That doesn't mean, like, if we stop doing mental health content, that anyone who brings it up is an asshole, or anyone who brings it up is being pushy. And if people don't like watching, fuck off. You don't have to watch anything. I don't either. But I don't know. If we're talking about paying for men, this brings in some other folks as well. So Chantal tries to draw lines between her and other people, and because she believes people who won't put a picture of themselves up are cowards. If you do put one up, she's going to do her best 11-year-old insult whatever that she does. I mean, the bigger community doesn't respect. They know who she is, but they don't respect her at all. So no one's saying, like, have you ever heard anyone say, "Hey, leave Chantal alone," for any period of time before they're kicked out of the chat? Yeah. You can't prove it as her biggest cope. Yeah. Anything she needs for the moment, I don't know. It's important to her identity. That, you can't prove it, and I didn't lie, I changed my mind. Which is supposed to suggest that she had no premeditated motives, that she wasn't setting this lie up since yesterday, that she wasn't already putting out signals that, "Oh, I don't know about working out, the sciatica might not be too good, I guess we'll just see in the morning, but I have all the love and support of Sala, he'll be home soon." I don't know. But talking about the other folks she was comparing, she was talking about, well, she talks about Charlie and Kalari at the same time because she's Chantal. Draw your conclusions. I don't have to say it. Um, and she was comparing herself to other big women who are have channels, and said, "Well, if how come I pay for a man? If I have to pay for a man just because I'm fat, all these other women have to pay for one too. You don't understand. There's a lot of fat women who aren't in paid relationships. They're partners with them because they like them. And the reason she would be single is not because she was fat, it's because she's obnoxious. She's arrogant, she's self-centered. That's not a big winner. You know, when your best hopes is to fly halfway around the world, find someone who wants citizenship in your country, play visa games, all for the thing of being claimed. Where's my man? You got a man? Where's your man? I got a man. Where's your man? It's like, God, it's a little bit much. I don't know who this chick is, but she sounds like a horrible person. Thank you, Pando. Welcome, welcome. Um, she's a mukbanger who gets off on the fact that people like watching her eat, and then gets off on the fact telling people they have no business to tell her what to eat or how to eat. She's very petulant, like childlike. She froze somewhere in her teens. Whatever happened to Chantal that turned her into this? I'm thinking late childhood. I mean, she grew up, she was raised by wolves, from what she said, but you can't tell that. Of course, Chantal would want to blame her family for her life. She's 40. You can be mad at mom for ruining your life when you're 5. Maybe if you're working it out in therapy in your 20s, but if you still have gripes years and years and years later that aren't serving you, that kind of make you sick, then just take it another direction, you know? Ugh. Keeping things private. I don't know. True, she doesn't understand. She has no personality and she's an awful person. Thank you, Susie Q, for that observation. I think a lot of people would agree. She thinks that her big fault is that she's fat. And so if other fat women, she thinks it's what she does, everyone must do. Every fat woman buys her husband. No, they don't, honey. That's you telling yourself that so you don't feel like a loser. Most people don't purchase a husband. They don't. Because they don't. People who are kind, decent, quality, nice, don't have to throw money to get company. Do you know how many people got married that didn't have to buy the guy? You know, and Chantal can say, you know, I like taking care of my men. I like spoiling my men. She goes in with that. I'll pay for your stuff and I'll bring my TV over. And she gave fair warning. Once I start moving my stuff in there, it's over. So, have y'all heard of hobosexuals? Are they the ones that Chantal got down with? When she took advantage of a man in a situation and had slept with a homeless guy? So, I don't know. I don't know if I've inadvertently slept with someone who didn't have a home, but I didn't meet them and within minutes have a casual ship in the night thing down an alleyway. Because what? That's what you can get for free. That's what you can get for free, I guess. So work on yourself. Fuck your appearance if you want to gain 100 pounds, but don't be such a bitch, and maybe people will like you. And if they don't like you, maybe they'll figure, well, leave her alone. She's not my kind of person, but she's not hurting anybody. She hurts a ton of people. She doesn't see it. Because if she had to acknowledge that, she'd have to acknowledge that I'm hurting people knowingly, but it's more advantageous for me to do that right now. So when I need you for the next lie or the next act in the play, I'll call you. And then you have an aunt come out, and then you have Smee come out, and then Pete's comes from somewhere. Fascinated by her lack of events in her 20s. I just said this in the shower, Michael. I was practicing. I don't think about Chantal in the shower usually. Putting this together, and I was getting the same sort of feeling, the exact same sort of feeling. I don't know. It's a little bit hard. It's a little bit hard to place. You guys, you left. Where'd you go? There you are. Oh, okay, yeah. Lack of events. A person who will have sex with someone or be in a relationship to prevent homelessness. That's a lot more people than they're willing to admit, I bet. All enablers to her. Yeah, she was. You need to be spoiled to have enough time to feel this sorry for yourself and think it's everyone's fault. You've got to have nothing to do, nowhere to be, to sit around and feel bad about yourself and blame it on everybody else. It's not like I don't know, it's not a thing. It's not a thing I would go for. So in the 20s, we get her through high school. She did like 2 years of college. So let's put her then at like 20 or so. Then she starts the channel and she's like 35. So what happened? I know she works at a call center. I imagine she took a trip or two. She went to Florida one time, I think, in the US and whatever. But I don't know. I don't know. I did more in my 20s, and there was more to talk about. So, granted, in my 20s, social media wasn't as big of a thing until I was almost 30. So, all my dumb shit wasn't recorded anywhere. Doesn't exist. Which is fortunate for me because I made quite a few messes. And no, I wasn't only hurting myself the whole time. You take a risk hurting other people, whether you care to or not, when you drive while distracted, whether by food or else. You take other people's lives in your hands and you become a speeding, reckless bullet going around in your vehicle. You know, she's not going to bump into literally anybody because she doesn't walk outside much. But, 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 but. So, as long as we're talking about gross sex, let's talk about revenge porn. Let's talk about revenge porn. So, there is a discussion that Chantal was having with the audience and with that, as far as the text messages that went back and forth between Salah and Kybella regarding his fascination with certain sexual things that are perhaps more taboo in some places than others. And beyond that, had some religiosity slapped into his sexual foreplay. So he's got some freaky shit he's thinking about. I would not get anywhere near him if I was a woman alone. I would not be alone in a room with him. That aside, I don't know. I don't know. It's not revenge porn. There was no pictures as far as I know. There was just statements of things. And who the hell goes after the woman your husband cheated on? If it made you so much stronger, why do you have to drag this bitch through the mud? What's the problem? If you are all as happy can be and there's no issues, then what's with the cheating? What's with the I don't know where my husband is? What's with the I'm fine, I'm just eating for 4 today because I need a day for it, it's too much. You know, what do you mean I should take care of myself? It's my diabetes, I'll handle it my way. That's the same with the binge eating. I'm not binge eating, I eat more off camera. How much more than a whole pizza are you eating off camera? He sent Carbella photos of himself. Hey, man. What can I tell you? And then she's defending, like, him. He was supposed to be loyal. It's not like he told her he was doing this and she didn't like it or approve, but he did it anyway. It's that she didn't know. She had to play damage control real quick, I would imagine, to get herself out of that mess with him. And then he disappeared for a while. Now he's back, but people still don't want to see him. He pops in the side, you know, hey guys, what's up, babe? I didn't count long enough. It's supposed to be a longer pause between then and babe. So, yeah. So I don't think it's revenge porn. I think that's going to fall into the same list of things of suing French fried girl, climbing Everest, her being 330-something pounds, her getting a 6-pack. It's all that, whatever. Whatever, you're going to do this. She was going to track down the cat. She was I will come and get it now. You need to breathe. Like when she first found out the night that BBJ got his new good home. Her new good home. Chantal freaked out about that. But it's my diabetes. It is. I'm different. I'm different than you are. I didn't say better, but we all know. She's going to be, like, she's going to die alone. A few years ago when we started talking about this shit, I was like, she's going to die alone. She's going to think she's in control of the whole world, and then it'll all crumble at once. Her little house of cards is on a few pieces of paper that can say she can travel, is deciding it. She's a woman without a country at the moment. I don't know if she renounced her Canadian citizenship or if that's a thing. But she's obviously not welcome there even by people she knows or likes. You know, Mom, this is my job. I have to film. Not in here. Go sit in your car. Now, that's how I'd prefer Smee to handle it. But it's different parenting. She still gets parented by her mother. Like, she still gets parented by her family. And by parented, I mean they treat her like a child. Not like good parents. Like, they treat her like a kid. Oh, get her something. You know, that's why she has food problems. You know, oh, the baby's crying. Let's get her a snow cone. And she'll feel better. And then when she made the connection that food made me feel better, and people will give me food, I'll just eat a lot of food. And she put it together. She certainly probably blames her family for her situation, so. Salah has proven to be one sick person. I get that there's fetishes. I get that there's things people like, and they go across the board. And it's all in context. There's people that think Mark and I would be disgusting and worthy of being thrown off the roof. um, depending on what part of the world you're in. And it's, at least I was married to the person they martyred me with. So, I don't know. I don't know. We can both do better. No revenge porn. Other big girls have to pay for men too. We touched on that. Not your size that turns men off, it's your rotten attitude. That is why other women have men and actually don't have to pay for it. I think she thinks that her lifestyle is par for the course, and that she takes lying very lightly because we're a bunch of strangers. When she's been caught before and said, "So what? You don't deserve the truth. It's my business." But she won't replace that part with "it's none of your business." She replaces it with a lie. So she has enough time to think of something untrue, totally untrue to do, but knew more about her half sister. I don't know. Chantal's probably not. The last time I saw her around family filmed was the last Christmas with BB. That was the last time I remember seeing any of her family members. And even then, their faces weren't really shown. They were, yeah, it wasn't the whole faces, it was like lower parts. And BB was playing cards, and everyone seemed to be in a good mood. And Chantal got that disgusting pity kiss out of him when she forced the camera on him. That look in her face of, "Hey, ready? Ready to prove it? You ready? You're on." To give her, and he looked at the camera like, "Can you believe this?" And then turned over and gave her a little one quick. I don't know. Every man she's been with, she's cheated with. Salva would be the first one that she hasn't been caught cheating with yet. So next visa run should be very shortly. Something happening. Now, she said she's gone to Qatar before, like, and that's not obviously as big as going to Canada or even Thailand. And she's made those trips and nobody knows about them. Well, now that you said it, people are going to know about it. You don't want your private stuff out there. Don't say it. You can't want the bank of putting your life out there for shock value. And then when people ask questions, go, "That's too personal. I'm not that kind of person anymore. I changed my mind. I'm not like that now." And give it 20 minutes until Natter texts her, and she's running to the airport as best she can run. She needs more like a rickshaw. Somebody pulling her, I think. So she has someone to talk to. So the big girls know. The big girls don't have to pay for men. It's the inner ugly of hers that shines through her skin. It's not her weight. It would be probably easier for her to say, "Oh, they don't like me because I'm big. People are mean to big people." Those other big people you're comparing yourself to have careers, families, relationships, people to hang out with off of YouTube. Like, when I put my phone down, Mark's still here. I'm not making up stories about where he is. If, I'm home alone, I can still be alone. I don't have to be glued to my phone the whole time so I don't feel lonely. Maybe, I don't know if I'm a very, very, very young Gen Xer or a very old millennial, but I still remember a time when there wasn't always a beep going off somewhere. There wasn't the microwave and the cell phone and the computer and the this and the that. That there was no answering machines. When you hung up the phone, and no one's there, there's no one there. You don't file missing persons police because someone doesn't answer a call for 12 hours. Different world. Different world. So, and she lived through all of it with me. I'm only 2 years older than Chantal, and she grew up in the West. Chantal is only, well, now she's farther. We were looking at the map because Mark and I were going to get our passports renewed. And my parents had just done it because they went for their 45th wedding anniversary. My brother took them to Niagara Falls because that's where my parents had gone on their honeymoon. And it's like a 4-hour drive. Like, I could be in Ottawa in 6 hours from here. It's really not very far. And then 2 hours from that would be in Montreal. I have concerns about driving in Montreal, but Zennial gang. "Hey, LA, how are you?" Outward repulsiveness is a fascinating poetic reflection of her inner repulsiveness. It's like a fairy tale. It is, isn't it? I always do try to say, look for the lesson. Is there a lesson in her behavior for any of us? Is there a moral to this story? I don't know. We're just going to have to wait. A lot of people are of the opinion that a big, big medical emergency of hers might get her attention. The only thing that might help is that if she's put into a place where she can't choose her foods, as long as she doesn't have Sala, bringing her food, then maybe she'd have an okay shot. But even when you see 600-pound life, the people who don't do well, that always have family around, and there's always food in the corner, and no, I'm not eating this, I'm not drinking this. You've been eating 1,200 calories a day monitored for 6 weeks, and you gained 4 pounds. And then they just lie to your face. Some behavior with food addiction is no different than any other addiction. You could have food all over your face and lie to the person, try to convince them they're not seeing what they're seeing, or that you didn't do what they think they did. That's the ugly part of addiction that makes a liar out of you. If I could flash back now to Chantal, she got called out for something she promised to not use, and then she said, "Hey, addicts lie." And then she's called herself an addict when it's serviceable. So, but lying and changing your mind makes a person as unreliable as a liar to me, because their presence, their reliability is only half the time. You can't count on the person all the time. You're not going to be a friend with someone who's going to say, like, you know what? I don't got anything to do, but I don't feel like hanging out with you tonight. So why not, she's a little too selfish for friends. And I don't know. You ever watch Mommy Dearest, the movie with Faye Dunaway? She was walking on the beach with a guy, and they're talking about having children, and she couldn't have some. And when she said she wanted to have a baby, the first thing the guy said to her was, "You're too vain to be pregnant." So Chantal's not too vain for anything, that I would guess. Children aren't an issue. And I wanted to talk about, like, briefly, the idea of her and him and children and how all that works. I did a cursory amount of looking into it, and certain cultures are more accepting of adoption than others, or full adoption. There's opinions in some parts of the world about women who can't produce children, and that they are less useful than a cat if they can't produce more men, because that's all those men think women are good for, baby incubators. So, I don't know. But saying that her weight, it's a outcome of the addiction that she only occasionally has. I can't imagine anyone being so uninsightful to see that weighing the weight of 3 people can be hard on your body. You don't see people her size with diabetes, with who are, I don't know, what was Jen, 45? About 5 more years she's got left. Get that traveling done, honey. And then tell us where you want the ashes. So, I don't know. I'm content to watch. I mean, she does need viewers. I'm here to view. That's okay with me. But, and even as far as reacting and viewers go, we're very light. I'm very light on Chantal. There's plenty of other people to call her names and get the good digs on her life and how she looks, and people talking about other stuff. I'm talking about, like, French Fry Yaba and the other folks, and that's one kind of, like, relationship they have with her, going back and forth. Honestly, I wouldn't have the energy for it. I've only interacted with Chantal herself once, maybe twice, and it was years ago. So she has said that she liked us and that she's seen our channel, but she commits to a lot of things that sometimes she doesn't do. I wouldn't be embarrassed if she did. I don't think we talk about anything here that's mean. It's just talking about the choices this person is making. It's like Bravo After Hours, except I'm not Andy Cohen. And none of y'all are Real Housewives. Unless you are you? I guess you're not. Okay. So no, other fat women don't have to pay. The Little Caesars binge wasn't a binge. What is a binge if a whole pizza isn't? Can you say nothing is a binge because you can, in theory, be eating more than you ate here? So it's not that you do eat more offline, it's that you could eat more offline. And she's just getting bigger and bigger. You understand? I don't know if she understands. If she ate nothing but what she showed us, and no snacks, no let me just grab a piece of cheese, a handful of olives, it's those little decisions everywhere, over and over, that for so many people, whatever condition or situation they're trying to get out of, that's how it works. They just do it bit by bit. They don't make these big plans, like I'm going to go to Everest, and I'm going to sit in this couch every day until 2 before we leave. Get there. That sciatica that I didn't have for a while conveniently came back when they asked me to do something physical. So I'm just going to sit here at base camp with hot cocoa. She watches her life as much as we do. She's basically going out and he's doing things, and she's sitting there sweating, saying, "Oh, I can't wait till I'm healthier so we can do more things." And then goes home, films 2 mukbangs, is probably feeling some sort of way about it. I imagine she looked at her money and thought there's not enough, especially for the previous month where there was a month or a week blackout. And then a few days she didn't put anything up either. We were getting the black screen. I don't have to show myself if reaction channels don't have to show themselves. If Yaba was 500 pounds, is her opinion of your life and choices any less valid? And if you're going to say no because she's fat, then what the fuck are we even listening to you for? If you can't trust her because you don't think she's honest about her size, what do you think about us who don't trust you on yours? Scale errors, the sugar reader that's broken, cracked, and it doesn't work for everybody but her. Everyone else can get an exact blood sugar reading, not her. It's broke when she uses it. And I don't know who she thinks she's getting over on. I think there is a crew of people. I fall a little bit into it that to me it's like insulting as a human to watch someone throw their life away, especially when you know other people who would kill for the life she has and she's sleeping through it. Pretty much, sleeping through it and being on TikTok. Think how much more she could do if she was a more fit person. Getting over on herself. She's seriously one of the most delusional people I've ever had the displeasure to witness. Yeah, she doesn't have really great insight at all. Like, she doesn't. So, the Temu scale, hey, you know what? We don't have one because I got it. No, it wasn't Temu, was it? It wasn't Wish. I forget where we got it from. But it was in kilograms, which is fine because I don't need to be playing with scales all day. Go to the bathroom, use the scale, eat a sandwich, get on the scale. The privileges she has makes people sick. Well, she's entitled anyway, and she's all the worst things about an American. Maybe we'll say Canadian. Entitled, takes up a lot of space, loud, pushy, thinks everyone owes them a favor, and that they should be treated like royalty, and that they can treat other people like crap. That kind of person's not going to have a boyfriend without paying. Seriously? I mean, if you don't want to pay for a husband, be nice. Be nice. Get your shit together. You'll meet such a nicer guy. You'll meet a guy that he'll pay for you, and you won't have to pay for him. On the same token, one of the earlier thoughts I had, there's more to life than a relationship. People go through their whole life single sometimes and have wonderful, fulfilling relationships and friends and travel and career and whatever kind of stuff they want to do. And the fact that you could have all that and throw it away for pizza. Oh, I'm going to throw all my Vanches away for spite so I can let people know that I've gotten rid of things they can't even buy. She's still pretty cheap, though. Remember those glasses? Those are terrible. You know who gets the glasses right? Dank Fupa. If you're not watching it and you like adult cartoons, you need to watch it. Their channel's not bigger than ours, and I don't know why, because their content is great. If you remember the era for animation of like Beavis and Butthead, Daria, South Park, it's in that sort of vein. And the voice captures for Sala are almost identical. The voice, and for her, it's close. It's okay. And it goes through, it's under the frame of like 90 Day Fiancé. So they copied the pool and this, and it plays a lot of fun at them. It's not terribly gross or anything. I mean, she's a little bit bigger in the cartoon, but cartoons are parodies of reality, So, yes, Cindy, ridiculous. She had a family that did nothing but collar her. She was born in a country with free health care. To Pete's credit, I believe, or Pete had said, it's not free healthcare. It's paid for through taxpayer dollars. It's only free for her because she doesn't pay her taxes. And as far as living a lifestyle that she can't, if she was paying the income tax, on that high of an income in Canada, if she was giving it away, she would have had to give away a lot. I can see why she has probably in the tens of thousands of dollars that she still owed if she just decided not to pay taxes for a few years. I don't know. And then she conspicuously leaves the country. Espionage. I thought she was a drug mule when it first started. No one's going to frisk her, and they depend on that. So she would have shit taped up under all her rolls, and she would greet them in a certain way at the airport and let her get on the flight, and she'd have like a G of Coke under the boob, and then this one over here. That's what I had thought, because I've watched too much Locked Up Abroad that I thought that would be more interesting. I'd like to think she's like a drug mule rather than just lazy and eating and that stuff. At least they travel more. Drug mules do travel more, and they go to nicer places too. I mean, Kuwait is beautiful. Is it the last stop for her? Are they thinking they're going to set up house? Are they going to buy property? Some people prefer a more low-key lifestyle where like there's no push to have a family. There's no push to buy property. They just kind of live endlessly in that way. There's no save big money for this later. She might as well spend it all now before, it's over. She hides the Pringles lids. Yeah. So disgusting. Free healthcare as shorthand for single payer through taxes. So it's, I don't know, but she was spoiled by the system that she took advantage of. She would go to the ER and space out people with real emergencies because she was full, because she wanted to get back at somebody, because she was trying to get the heat off of her in her real life from something. So we have a song and dance and we go to the hospital, try to make everyone worried so they'll forget that they were pissed and annoyed. So the Pringles lid was down the, yeah. I mean, no one ever accused her of being, prim and proper. And I don't think she's ever said what finishing school she went to, but I'm sure they taught French. That's why she's so fluent. She knows more French than I do. But I can tell you it can be learned. My boyfriend 1,000 years ago, XXX, great guy, we were kids. It would have been a lot of fun, but we were kids. Was interested in learning French and ended up moving to Chicoutimi, which is like 2 hours northeast of Quebec, I believe. It's kind of far up there. And it was immersion. That was the only way he had learned it. And he moved in with a French family, and then he went to the University of Quebec at Montreal, and then he ended up going to some other college up there. But the point was, he was fluent in French within probably 6 years, to the point where he was teaching people in another language. Like, imagine being so confident in your language skills that in my non-native language, I'm going to move somewhere else, talk to all these native speakers with my little bit of this, and I'm going to perform surgery on them. I'm going to be a doctor. Do all those kind of other things in another language. I couldn't even do janitorial work in another language. System of getting a doctor in healthcare just for paying taxes was available. Instead, overused. They don't want us, since Reagan, you can go into the ER here, and they don't ask you for proof of anything. They don't ask you to pay first. They do it now, pay later, but then you just get millions and billions in unpaid medical bills because people need the help. You're going to have to bill them if you don't stock them at the door. And so they have to provide accommodations to it. But we have that in America too. We have that. For every slime bag you find anywhere else, we have them here. She actually looks like a pretty obnoxious American. A few I know anyway. The only thing she's missing is like a giant cowboy hat or a big cheese hat, like for in Wisconsin. Something else that just puts a finer point on it being a joke. Does she still have a channel when she was demonetized? The couple's channel was still going, but that was demonetized for a day. She was doing some shuffling, from what I understand, of finances and things, and where's the money going. It's been suggested that she's kind of stuck now because she put her finances in his name, because she didn't think that a guy who didn't like her and couldn't really speak much to her would just totally take advantage of her. I can't wait to hear the thing where she talks about people being honest and being taken advantage of. He made me give away my cats. She would have given him away for less. So I can't get over it. I don't want to be sappy. I know people have pets, and I know circle of life, it's whatever, but I don't think I could leave a cat of 20 years. I don't think I could just be like, you know what? Met some new people. These are holding me back. That's why she doesn't have kids. Somebody knew how it could turn out and made a few calls. But she's too selfish to have a kid, and there's no way anyone would let her adopt one. No child would give someone with her medical records. I mean, she sounds like, when she tells you all her health problems, you're like, God, you could go anytime. So I think she's living for the day, thinking I could go anytime. But that turns into our most recent video where she was eating pastries and cookies and cakes, a little bit of everything. And she knew it would make people upset. It upsets people when someone has a condition that's highly treatable, but not only do they not do anything about it, they then want a soundboard to complain about the situation that they're in, that they put themselves in. Not a lot of people want to hear about someone saying, I did this to myself. Isn't it awful? Pity me. Most people aren't going to be sympathetic to that. And to other people saying, you must have to buy a man because your fat ass did. Not everybody else does, because your weight wasn't what had to do with your marriage and your dating life and sexual life, your attitude. There's plenty of guys out there who love big men. You can't think there's only one or two. So what is turning them off from you? What could it be? What could it be? I know it'd be easier on the ego to say fat and it's a cruel world and people don't like fat people, but actually it's you. You're unkind, rude, self-centered, stingy when it doesn't need to be stingy, dishonest, you know, even like, I don't know. Couldn't even leave an outside cat that ran and started calling before. Yeah. I mean, we took Oscar with us because he just hung out in the yard. I can't see, not that I don't love and appreciate people, you know, if we found ourselves, if I ever had to rehome them, ever, I just really wouldn't want to, but if I ever had to, it would be like to someone, a family member who I already know loves and knows how to take care of cats and give them the vet paperwork and everything. But I don't have plans to ditch my pets at will if I find a better deal. They're part of my responsibilities now. I could give them away. People do as much with their own children. You know, oh, I met a guy and I don't want to deal with the cats anymore. He doesn't like them, so we're going to get rid of them. We're just going to give them away. We're going to drive out to the animal shelter, open the car door, push them out, and leave. That's become very common actually around here in this area. And with dogs, because everyone wanted a pit bull and then nobody wants to train it or take good care of it. And so they end up tied to a phone pole downtown. And then somebody will call, you know, the police, and they'll come try to take it to a shelter, and all of our shelters are full. All of our animal shelters within 100 miles of here, like 50 miles of here, are full. And they said, no, not even one more kitty. They can't take any more of it. So, but the fact that she gave her cat away in that condition, and that BBJ looks good. BBJ looks fine. Two people in my life I trust with my cats. If something happened, I worry about them. Me too. There's only a couple people that I would be like, I know you know cats. I know what you'd want from cats. Someone who's like interested in them and knows personalities. It's not like we have 12. We have 2. But having pets for her, it's just as well she's not going to be having a kid unless she can go through the legal system to get one, which even if she wasn't have a problem, she should be forced through the legal system to come to have a kid. But no one would approve her to have one. No one would be like, oh, okay, she's done so well up to here. They'll look at her income, but they'll look at other aspects of her life too. You know, a single busy woman, according to her, or a very busy woman. She has no time for anything. So clearly she'd have no time for a kid or a cat or anything like that because she's needed on TikTok. But yeah, I would be very, very upset. The cats are a part of my life. They're part of it. You know, there's different sections of Chantal's story where I think some people just pull back and go, that's too much for me. I can't do that. Someone who was going to give away their pets for a romantic relationship that seemed like it was slapped together in about half an hour, people looked at it and said, you're going to take a chance on this and see, or you're going to hold on to your babies. She said, oh, they tricked me. You did so little research that your nemesis swept right in and took it away. You couldn't be bothered to walk down the stairs to go see who it was. And I think that's an incident where people pulled away from Chantal. Definitely Cuba bees and the rage that she did there pushed a lot of people off. Pumped up kicks. But when I'm looking at others' videos now, like I'm looking at other subscribers, and maybe they have 10,000 subs, maybe they have 100,000, whatever. People with much, much lower numbers, like we're talking French Fry Girl, it's the opposite. She has tons of views. She doesn't have as many subs as Chantal does, but more views. Wouldn't it then be fair to say, because there's some other channels that are getting more views than she is and they're 1/4 the size? Because again, for her, it's about the big number. This is the number that means things. The number of people watching is what means things. Otherwise, you're just making videos for yourself, which people do and love. And we've actually made quite a few for ourselves, actually, because the point of video was more than the money, I guess. Or it wouldn't have been monetized anyway. So going into next week, what do we see? I see mukbangs continuing. She gets off on hurting herself and having that bother people. So she does buy her sub. She'll never admit to it. I think her sub count's maybe half of what it actually is if you get rid of old accounts and shit like that, and the people that were all in the mukbang phase in the beginning, and they're just not. She brags about it like it matters because it's proof of her likability. It's proof of her being worthy of friendship. That's just like buying the husband. It's proof of worth. It's showing people who don't care about her that she can have any kind of life she wants just like anybody else. But again, it's not about her waistline. It's about her fucking attitude. That's why you have to buy a husband. And the other ones didn't. People like them for who they are. I'm sorry, it's not like that for you. The more she shows of her true self, the less likable she gets. She needs a whole overhaul. And like I've said, the ugliest parts of Chantal I touched on, especially in my addiction, when it comes to being manipulative, um, talking out both sides of your head, steal your purse and then help you look for it. Like those behaviors for me all tackled in with being rather sick with addiction and some mental health stuff. So when those were treated, those other behaviors kind of wound down a little bit easier. They weren't so difficult to try to manage. So I don't know. Maybe there is hope for her. I hope. I mean, I've seen sicker people get better. I've seen much sicker people than Chantal turn it around. But it's not, what's the difference? If you're going to be obnoxious and off putting, then just go do that. What the hell? Who cares what size you are, I guess. Um, I don't think she's a good candidate for Ozempic or for gastric bypass. She doesn't follow directions, and fucking around with important things, you can get hurt, injured. You shouldn't be going to the ER for your insulin. Find a doctor. Something. If you can't find a doctor who treats diabetes in Kuwait City, which is stupid, you could probably find 1,000 of them, you might have to move. You might not be able to stay there for your health. She never even hung up the clock. It's just propped up on the couch. She puts it up for filming. That's how we get ready. Not lights, not backgrounds, not having the chat set and a good picture. No, none of those things are relevant to a video. Got to put that plaque up in the corner. Why do people I know, okay, they get close to 100,000 and then they start buying views. Like, you've waited this long, you can't wait a little bit longer for naturally people to become interested and find the channel? Or are you catching up with the rest of us who aren't as interested as we used to be? We're just waiting to see the end. It's like a bad movie. You want to stay till the end and see how it happens, how it ends. Or if it does end, or if there's part 2. So, she did Ozempic and Vyvanse. She said the Vyvanse made her heart pound. And it's essentially speed, which I could believe. The Ozempic, she complained about the price of initially. But it's my understanding she's not paying $800 a shot for that kind of thing. And you know what? She could afford to anyway. She spends a lot of her money on her fixes and her habits, and those are the things she really looks forward to. She never looks happier than when there's a plate of food in front of her. Never. She never looks at Sala that way. She never looks at the camera that way, that she looks at her food. It just makes her that much happier. And maybe she will just kind of nonchalantly throw her life away to eat because in her head it's worth it. It's a sacrifice that's worth it. Food is so good that I'll trade it for walking. I'll trade it for not having to wear portable oxygen. I'll trade it for the CPAP. I think a lot of people can't get their head around the fact that, like, seriously, you would choose that over life. You would choose food over all this. But food's her big vice. Food's her biggest vice. It always has been. Her most telling vice is alcohol. Not other substances, not the weed, not the, wheelchairs or anything, but alcohol. Pumped up kicks, Cuba Bees, these were under the influence of alcohol, and it just, for her, it's truth serum. For some people, they start to lie nonstop about stuff that never happened to them to sound interesting, but I think she ended up in a spot where she was, I don't know. I'm out of words for her at this point. Truth serum. Yeah, that's supposed to be what was doing it for her. The only way you're going to hear the truth out of her is if she's wasted. So, and it's not pretty. Like, how can she think somebody could watch that and think, well, she's wife material? She looks like a man about town. She gets around. She had a freshly shaved head at the time. Do you follow Boogie at all, Steve? I do not follow Boogie. I'm not familiar. Not familiar. Björk does. He's like the male version of her. I always thought of Nikocado when I would think she was copying Nikocado for a period of time when he's always been kind of a mess, but I don't know, with the sneezing and the twitching that he does and riding a jazzy and like, who gains 300 pounds for a job? I mean, if you're in Hollywood and you're Matt Damon and you got to be cut for a part so they give you a chicken breast a day for 3 weeks or 3 months or whatever, that's different. But food and morbid obesity. Boogie is her. I don't know. Well, folks, that's where we're at with her. Again, my prediction for next week is more food. We're coming up towards payday, so we could be in a plane. Or keep an eye out for filmed content that comes out and see if you can... Was this filmed a while ago? She tells on herself with those sometimes. So see if we've been looking at videos for 4 days and she's already been done all the traveling she was going to do. So we'll find out this week. She likes to keep it very close to her vest when she travels, like the goddamn president. And then when she comes back, we'll see how she's doing. So thank you all for joining us. Thank you for watching. Please do subscribe. Hit the thumbs up on your way out if you'd be so kind. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, it's X, Instagram. All our contact info and stuff's below as well. Thank you, folks. This was a nice, cozy, easy chat. Very nice. Thank you, mods, for being here. Thank you, lurkers in the back. And we'll catch up with you soon. Mark's going to be joining you, I believe, tomorrow for his video. He's doing Mondays with Mark. So thanks for being here, and we'll catch up with y'all soon. Bye. Say goodbye, Mark. He's in the garden. Bye.